5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are back at the corner of the gorgeous corner of Glenwood and Lunt on the stage of the Heartland Cafe, where we are every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. talking about interesting things to see, do, be with people who are doing, seeing, and being. How about that for a tagline? Hey, I just want to say this on the radio. Pussy Riot.
That's my new second favorite band after Twin Peaks.
God love those girls. What brave, brave people. They go into an Orthodox church in flippin' USSR, well, whatever, Russia,
No, they don't
I guess.
call it the
yeah,
USSR.
I know.
They might have had more justice.
And they call out Putin, and they are so flippin' brave, and they've been in jail for 6 months. And I think they just got convicted.
They got 2 years.
They got 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got to say, I've been in one of those temples over there in the Soviet Union, now Russia, and it was the strangest kind of. I mean, I've been in some weird churches from my perspective over the
Aren't
years.
they all?
But that was
In your
really, just like a lot of old people in babushkas, incense everywhere. It was like, my conception of the Dark Ages.
Okay,
And,
I'm going to go back to Pussy Riot. All right. You shine on, girls. You shine flippin' on.
They were really. Did you watch them on the video?
I did.
News?
I actually read their
smiled.
Their statement. They are amazing. Yesterday was the new moon. Ryan pays more in taxes than Romney. Should be an interesting election. We have the Air and Water Show in Chicago. Avoid at all costs.
Actually, Katie and I were driving downtown to get the equipment that has been broken for a few weeks. And thank you so much to Peter and Danielle for us being back here today. But on the way, there looked like someone flying a kite, and it was a little plane doing these twists and turns. And then Katie, of course, wanted to watch, and she was driving. So we were kind of almost like the plane in the sky going down Lakeshore Drive. But there was a big accident already. We were safe and sound as we watched all these jets flying overhead and these little planes doing flips and turns.
It's a wild thing.
Yeah, but we're kind of politically opposed to all that energy being spent on a show.
Are you checking that with me, Michael?
I'm looking at you to see what you say.
I want to involve the third person on the stage at this point because we know he's here, but out there they don't know he's here. Hello, Tom.
Good morning.
Tom Rosenfeld has joined us on this stage, and in so many other ways, he has joined us. This year, Tom, Michael, and I spent a number of months conversing and making plans and getting to know each other, and the result. Thank you, Tom, and thank all the
forces of the Great Spirit.
Yeah, the spirit that moves in all things. The result is that the Heartland Cafe has a future, frankly. Tom has bought into the Heartland and become the managing partner, and even though for many, many months I did occasionally turn to him and say, do you know what you're taking on? He did it anyway, and we have been, since June, basically doing what I call a pretty sacred transition, and it's been a real treat. So, hi. Hi again.
Yeah, let me just start by saying, before we do anything, I mean, it has been quite a journey so far. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And we're really just getting started.
And we're really just getting started. But I do want to thank both of you for letting me kind of in. I mean, you did keep warning me. Do I know what I'm getting myself into?
I tried to warn you.
Still not sure. I know what I got myself
bring it
into.
on. Come on, baby. Yeah, that's what we need.
But
Well, that would be the difference. That's why there's two of us.
But it has been a sacred transition.
Yeah.
And it has been really an honor to step into this, I keep calling it this institution, which is a great restaurant. It's a great political place to be. It's a great place to meet people. It's the place that I've seen since I've been here. It has more hugs per day than any restaurant in Chicago.
We do a lot of hugging here.
And it's really a warm place to be that you guys have created over 35 years, now 36. Hello, ding, ding, last weekend.
Yeah.
And I really, this has been quite a ride. I'm looking forward to another 36 years.
Yeah.
And I certainly hope I'm still
And
around.
I want
that
you
would
guys
make me
here for that whole
106.
time. Absolutely. Bring it on, Michael.
So, Tom, it became clear in the thank you for saying all that. It became clear in the start of our talks that you had been keeping an eye on this little institution over the years.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and you made a comment that both Michael and I said, oh, that means he's been watching us. You are a very
Refresh my
successful businessman in your own right, and we're going to get to you telling us what that is, because it's too many things and I can't say it. But you traveled a lot for your business, and you said, I cannot get onto a plane coming into Chicago or leaving Chicago. And after talking to my seatmate for a while and mentioning the Heartland Cafe, that doesn't know about the Heartland Cafe. Do you remember saying that?
I do remember saying that.
And that's when Michael and I looked at each other and went, you've been
Well,
paying attention.
I gotta say, a couple of years ago, it'll be 2 years in October, we kind of went public with our financial crisis, and we'd been hit by not only the Depression, recession, but also our busiest summers were being used for infrastructure repair and streetscapes. And we were just having it was a much tighter time than we've been used to. And you came and talked about buying the restaurant. And I, of course, wanted no part of that. Figured we could figure it out ourselves some way. But Katy was the one who really took command and said, I don't want to be raising money. We got to do something. And you and I had known each other through our kids playing basketball together over at the wonderful Loyola Park. And you always seemed like a chipper guy and a real nice guy. And then I ran into you up at the Midwest Organic Farmers Conference, and it was just like, oh man, this guy's kind of cool. And it turned out you had an organic apple farm up in Michigan. And
Okay,
so we started buying your cider.
Right.
And it's called Earth First. And then
Not to be
make things
confused
Not to be confused with Earth First. It's Earth First Farms.
Right.
Yeah, Earth First Farms. You got to be careful because Earth First will be
Right.
out there. Last week,
And by the way, not that we have a problem with Earth First.
There you go.
no, we
Not
like
that
Earth
there's
First.
anything wrong with
But they
that.
tend to do different things to trees than we do.
Yes.
So last week you got a call from the Tribune, and they heard that the Earth First Farms had bought, or you, owner of Earth First Farms, had bought into the Heartland. And so it was time for us to go public.
It is.
And the Tribune did a nice little piece where they talked about how Katy and I were still involved and how you were already growing things after assuming control in our managing partner in June. And that the Tribune ended the article saying, hopefully this merger will be something will bring us many more anniversaries for the Heartland, because it came out
Yeah,
in
it was
the paper
very
the day
positive.
before.
It was lovely,
Nice.
actually.
So-
Nice.
It's out there. I've sent the word out to family, to friends. I'm getting all kind of kudos.
Okay,
on
let me
Facebook.
interrupt, Michael, because I know.
Well, I want to just be clear. This is something Katy and I have been working together a long time. Sometimes when I ramble on, she cuts me off. Very rarely when she rambles on do you hear me cutting her off. I may kick her on the side of the leg, but I just want to be clear that Katy and I, we love each other. We're good business partners and friends. And
Taking
now we
up
got Tom, who's now going
Valuable.
to take over.
And let me add that almost every meeting that we have gets into this mode, and it works well.
I'm so sorry. I come from.
Come on, Katy. What do you got to say?
I wanna-
Come on, Katy.
I wanted to ask Michael.
Well, you're listening to the Live from the Heartland show on W887 Chicago Sound Alliance.
I wanted to ask Tom, where did you come from?
Mars, Pluto. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, on that happy note.
I never do this, except in church. Tom,
You laugh
where were
in
you
church?
raised?
Where was I raised?
Where did you come from?
Wow, you really are going back a bit.
I know,
Okay,
I know,
fine.
but we got some time.
Oh, are we stretching? Is that what's happening here?
No,
Okay.
we're filling.
No, we
with
always ask
substance.
people where they come from. We do.
I grew up in the Republican Northwest suburbs of Chicago in Arlington Heights.
Uh-huh.
I've had a transformation. I'm born again, so don't worry, Michael.
You spent a little time in the West too, right?
I did. I went to college in Northern Arizona University. Ding ding. Hello, lumberjacks. I'm a lumberjack
And-
at Flagstaff, Arizona.
And he's got an affinity for trees.
And I do have a thing for trees. That's weird. I never thought of that, Michael. Thank
We like
you.
that.
Came back here to Chicago. Started a family with my lovely wife, Denise.
And what a treat it
She
is
is lovely.
to
She
get to
is
know your
lovely.
family.
And we then spent a few years out in D.C. Under the Clinton era. Had a great time in D.C. with our 3 kids, and then moved back here to Chicago to Rogers Park in '99.
And I hear you got
In
chickens in
99?
your backyard.
Sorry?
I say, I hear you got chickens in your backyard.
I do have chickens in my backyard.
It's amazing. We have all these chickens in Rogers Park
I
now.
do. So I moved back here in '99 and started rabble rousing in Rogers Park.
Yeah, around the
Shortly
Wisdom
thereafter.
Bridge Theater, I think.
Wisdom Bridge.
What was that project?
That was a community arts group that we started right around 2000. We had big dreams. We did great things, and then it ended.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that from about 2000 to about 2009.
To 9. Okay, wow.
Ran a couple festivals. Now we have the Glenwood Avenue Arts Fest. We were there trying to do different things up on Howard Street, and then this festival started, which is a great festival, and the neighborhood is finally welcome and open and warm and excited about street festivals, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, which is to say, it was a hard pill to swallow that we couldn't do a World Music Festival successfully up there.
Well, there's still time.
Yeah, there is.
There's always next year. I am a Cubs fan. I know I'm sitting with a couple Sox fans up here, but that's why we're good.
We do like the Cubs. We are Chicago
but there's
people.
always
Never
next
mind, we've got you
year.
outnumbered.
Yeah, you do.
There is actually a Red Sox fan sitting in the audience here today.
Wow,
Yep.
we're going to leave that one alone.
We don't want.
We'll just leave that one right there.
I got to just tell you, I went to a Red Sox-White Sox game in Boston one time, and I got up at 7th inning stretch to root for the White Sox. I was pummeled with hot dogs and beer. And these were not in the bleachers. This was in the plush seats. So that's my, I don't like the Boston Red Sox anymore.
Okay. All right, fair enough. There it is. So let's...
So when did you start being a farmer?
So in '05. In '05, I
Had you been looking for a while for that?
For many
Or did
years.
it just-
A long time ago, I did some organic farming back in the late '90s. It wasn't called organic farming then. It was just farming without chemicals, and they didn't have a label. Ever since then, I just had it in the back of my head. So anytime I'd leave the city and kind of go out into the country, we'd start looking around. My wife thought I was crazy. Maybe I am. I don't know. But
I hope.
It takes a little crazy.
You got to have a little nuts in you, right?
Yeah.
So we kept looking at different farms, and I kept picking out one and saying, here, we could do this. So we had a Christmas tree farm that I thought would be great, right? What a great business to be in.
Yeah, we actually sell
Once
them.
a year.
We have in the past sold Christmas trees.
It's a great business to be in. Everybody's happy about it. But, nothing transpired. I'm a corporate guy and had been in the corporate world for many, many years. So the idea of leaving the security of the corporate world, the quote security, of course, in the last
3 years.
go around, that doesn't mean
That's
anything.
not moral
right?
security.
It is not moral security. In '05, we ended up buying the farm, which is a great expression, right? We bought the farm in '05, and yet here we are. We bought a 45-acre apple orchard. It was a conventional orchard. It's 100 miles from here. That's the orchard that is now Earth First Farms.
Cool.
Ding. I wish I had a little bell up here to hit that one up.
Bring us a bell.
That's okay.
Too late.
Just dinged it.
We should have that all the time, a bell up here.
So in '05,
What kind of sound effects?
this is a fully functioning commercial organic, now organic orchard. We have about 3,000 trees, different varieties, mostly the old varieties, Michigan standards we call them. We put it immediately into transition to organic. We were surprised to find out only 100 miles from Chicago there were no organic orchards. I just assumed half the orchards would be organic or more.
Wow.
We certified our 1 acre of vegetables in that first year. And that was at that time the only acre that was certified organic in Berrien County.
Wow.
Which is kind of strange to think about in 2006.
Is Berrien County start as soon as you cross the line?
Yeah, that's where the New Buffalo, Union Pier,
okay.
Benton Harbor, Niles,
great.
all of those are Berrien County.
Someday let's bring things across on a boat.
Early on we had
fun.
we had a great relationship with Sunshower.
Yes.
In Lawrence,
and
Michigan.
when there was some health issue related to apples around the country and on unpasteurized cider,
right.
they took a hit. But that had been a Catholic worker project. I think initially came out
Yeah,
of Chicago.
I can tell you. It was
And
my
Katy,
friends.
yeah,
I
that's
attended
why I'm
their
bringing it
wedding.
up, so you have a chance to
I
tell
attended
us.
their wedding in 1971 on their farm in Lawrence, Michigan. A group of us gave them a pregnant goat for a wedding present.
All right.
Yeah. And it was before the Heartland was a twinkle in my eye that I was on that farm and knew the people, so that when we started, we knew where to go to get cider. And it was great. I mean, I've always called the raw, unfiltered apple cider the elixir of the gods.
Yes.
And other than fresh squeezed vegetable juice, which we'll talk about later, it is the best thing we have to drink here, is the raw, unfiltered apple cider.
Well, it's probably pasteurized now, isn't it, or not?
Yeah, all cider out of
Has to
Michigan has to be either pasteurized or UV treated.
Let me say one more thing, or ask one more thing about apples, because as a kid, and I'm still trying to find it, I remember seeing a cartoon of Johnny Appleseed.
Okay.
And it was really inspirational to me, because there was a real character, and he went west planting apples everywhere. And, apples swept the country, and now a lot of them are grown in a lot of places. But I love that movie, and I have never found the cartoon version. Do you remember ever seeing that movie? Or
I'm not sure this is really about apples, but no, I don't. I don't remember seeing that movie.
You know about it, Johnny Appleseed?
Of course I know about Johnny Appleseed.
So how did you get excited about apples? Just because you found this farm that had apples, trees?
No, it really started with a combination of events, but one of them was just being frustrated with the lack of good apples here in the Midwest. In Chicago, there are no organic apple growers, and I started to learn a little more about the conventional growing and organic growing techniques for apples particularly, and how damaging conventional growing is to the actual fruit that we're eating. So I thought, well, I'll go find an organic apple. The only organic apples I was finding were either from, South America or New Zealand or Washington.
Up in Washington, yeah.
Right. So I thought, well,
We
this has to change.
Right.
So how hard can that be? So I just decided to do something about it, and that's when I got into apple growing.
For our listeners, so why is conventional not useful anymore? And how far are we, both politically and farmer-wise, from being able to realize a total diet of
organic apples and such.
all organic?
Sure. I'll
Veg
talk
and
about
fruit.
fruit, because fruit tends to be the most difficult, the most controversial to grow organic. First, just a step back. I mean, conventional growing for apples, particularly, and other soft flesh fruit, is really it's an interesting challenge. What we have developed through our grocery system and through consumer training through our grocery system is, in this country anyway, consumers tend to buy with their eyes.
Right.
They look for fruit that's round and it's smooth and it doesn't have blemishes on it. The only way really you can get there is by doing something to get insects to stay away from your fruit.
Right.
Now, that's the classic worm in the apple. Gloria Swanson, the great actress, once said she has a great line that she uses, which is, I would never eat an apple that isn't good enough for a worm to eat.
Right.
We don't seem to adopt that in our normal day-to-day thing here. So what conventional fruit growers do is develop stronger and more effective pesticides. Stronger and more effective means, just translated as deadly.
Yeah.
So one example, neurotoxins are a big thing in the world of pesticides.
Can you tell people what that means?
Neurotoxins, something that is toxic to the nervous system.
Thank you.
So neurotoxins is a big thing in conventional fruit growing. One of the problems that conventional fruit growers had was that when the eggs would hatch and larvae would hatch of these worms, they would go right into the apple. Well, the neurotoxin would sit on the outside of the apple. So they got frustrated because they weren't killing enough worms. So what they did is develop the neurotoxin, a delivery mechanism to allow it to go inside the skin of the apple and go into the flesh of the apple so that the worm for sure would eat it.
There goes an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
An apple a day of something laden with a little bit of neurotoxin is a lot of neurotoxin.
So, I mean, isn't it generally true that this whole area of stuff that has entered our food stream is part of cancer-causing? Doesn't it have cancer-causing properties? the environmental effects of the poisons we eat?
Yes. Now, are you going to find anybody from FDA? Are you going to
No,
find
I know.
anybody from a large company to say, yes, that's true?
Yeah.
Our general test is whatever you're putting on the fruit, and no farmer, if you put just a little eyedropper of that in a glass of water and say, here, drink that, nobody would ingest that
There you go.
of themselves,
There
but
you
yet
go.
we put it on the food that other people eat.
And that we've all been eating for quite a while.
So the only way to change that is, in my view, is 1 acre at a time, 1 farm at a time, and just keep pushing out. And so that's what we're doing. So we just keep push out our organic fruit. It doesn't look the same as some big red delicious apple that's as big as your head from Washington, but the taste is amazingly different. Any Midwestern apple that you can have, even conventional apples, but any Midwestern grown apple compared to a Western grown apple, in my book, is a whole different piece of fruit.
Right.
Now,
And we want everyone to eat Midwestern apples.
We're all, especially from Berrien County.
Especially from Berrien
Now,
County.
will we be able to get any apples to eat this year? I know that you were. I've seen you very smooth through many situations now in our new partnership, but I've also seen you a little concerned when watching the temperature.
Yeah.
And I know that we had some freezes up in Michigan, and recently I just saw a special thing on TV about how the cherry crop was pretty much decimated, and I know apples took a hit too. Fill us in on that.
Sure. This is probably the worst year in apple growing, and most guys that I know, including the old farmers, have never seen anything like this. So we can all debate about what causes it, but the warm temperatures we had in March, where it got up into the 90s, got all of the trees going. The trees started leafing out at least a month ahead of time. They went into bloom. We actually on our farm had trees in bloom on March 31st. I've never seen it. The typical bloom for us is about May 5th.
So we had, like 4 weeks of 80-degree weather in the winter?
Right. I mean, it was really...
It was crazy.
It was enough. Now, April came along. April, we normally have freeze events. We had 4 significant freeze events in April, and it wiped out the crop. I mean, whether you're in northern Michigan, southern Michigan, eastern or west, Michigan being the third largest apple producer in the country, everybody was in bloom at some point during April, and we had these killing freezes. The Michigan apple crop this year is roughly, their estimates are 10 to 15% of normal. In other words, 90 to 85% loss.
Wow.
In Michigan. I just read this morning in one of the farm magazines that the Western growers have had a bumper crop. The Western, meaning Washington, the Western growers are essentially sharpening their knives right now, and it's going to be a tough year because what they're going to try to do, and this article was all about it, was step in and try to start to take over some of the accounts that the Michigan growers typically maintain. It's going to be a very hard year for Michigan, all fruit. Cherry is about the same state as apples. The difference with cherries is Michigan is the largest tart cherry grower in the country. There is no Washington ready to step in and start taking over accounts, but the apple growers, it's going to be an interesting year to see how many apple growers survive into 2013.
So we should order all the black cherry juice we can get right now before the price goes up on the next crop.
This price is going to go up.
Yeah.
Tart cherry prices are all going to, apple prices are going to go up.
Doesn't Michigan have a pretty large berry production, like blueberry and black?
It does. It does. Michigan is actually the second largest fruit producer in the country.
Second to Oregon?
Second to California.
Oh,
Everybody's
California.
second to California when it comes to agriculture.
Okay, yeah.
And they get that way because they are top 5 in almost every typical fruit, including grapes.
Right.
You know, Welch's is a Michigan grape cooperative.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So those are Concord grapes, and they're grown all over
Speaking of grapes, and a transition to the current situation today.
Yes.
I did, from the State Fair the other day when I was down there, visit the Illinois wine growers tent. And I brought you lots of flyers on Illinois wine.
Yes,
them
I
on
saw
your
my
desk.
homework.
All right. So, with that said, you developed an interest in acquiring a restaurant, and I know through Chef Earl, who worked here and is your close friend and involved here some, you started thinking about opening a restaurant, and then you came to us and wanted to get involved with us, which we have done. And one of the moving forces for you is the concept of farm to table. And so what I would like to do at this time and our remaining time is to switch to you becoming involved with the Heartland Cafe, why and what are going to happen.
Sure. I'm going to skip the why and just go to the what. Because I think the why is, anybody who knows the Heartland, I think the why is pretty self-evident. It's a great place. And
that's enough. Great place, you heard it?
There you go. So I've spent a number of years now in the, farming, selling to restaurants and working with a lot of restaurants that do the farm-to-table thing, and they put the farm-to-table on their menu and the name of the farms, etc. But I always felt we were missing a little something, and that is really a direct partnership with restaurant. As a farmer, it's very difficult. We grow what we think people want to buy, and then 6 months later or 3 months later or whatever the season is for the crop, we go to market with it, and we hope we got it right.
Right.
It's a very difficult way to go. And so a lot of restaurants, I would try to engage in a more engaged partnership where we would talk in, say, February about what they wanted to buy in July. And then I'd get to July and find that somebody else was selling it for a little cheaper, or the restaurant decided to change something, or something was, the menu had changed. So I always had this idea that if there was a direct relationship, a much more direct relationship, it would make more sense. It would be better for customers, it would be better for the farmers, and better for the restaurant. So when the idea of the Heartland came up, as an organic farmer, Heartland, in its role in the organic movement in Chicago, as its role as a healthy food restaurant, suddenly it made total sense to me, and that was the missing link. And the missing link was, this whole notion of farm to table. Why not have it to be our farm to our table?
Yeah.
So that we can develop menu along with what we're growing. I can be in direct conversation with our chef, our new executive chef here at the Heartland,
Mr. Colin Beaumier. Just don't get too close to him. He's going to make you wear his glasses and put on a funny face, and then he'll do it on his Facebook.
The guy can really cook. He also can tell some good jokes.
Yes.
But he can really cook, and Colin really understands whole food cooking and understands the different varieties of, whether it's tomatoes, zucchini, cucumbers, apples, of course, and all other categories.
I can't wait to see what he does with all the rutabagas you're growing.
He's got some ideas.
He does. And
mashed rutabagas,
really,
fried rutabagas.
It is fun to watch the truck unload with cases and cases of a variety of things I've never seen, like those round cucumbers or whatever.
The zucchini, the round zucchini.
Oh, the round zucchini, yes. And the little
the
watermelon.
little ones, the stuffed zucchinis.
I love
are really
the watermelon.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
they're wonderful.
So how about those watermelon?
The watermelon are great.
We got sugar lump watermelon, that white one.
Yes.
Orange glow, which is an orange flesh one.
Yes.
Blacktail Mountain, which is an heirloom.
So
Sugar
what's
Baby.
cool about this? When we started 36 years ago, we were telling people, we were training people basically. We were saying this is what tamari is. This is what bulgur wheat is. This is.
Try the brown rice.
Do eat
try
beans.
A rutabaga.
It was very very elementary, but building an awareness of simple, wholesome eating for health and well-being and for planetary sustainability.
Right.
And so it's very cool when you say 1 acre at a time. This is one street corner at a time.
Absolutely.
And so the farm to table thing is definitely exciting to an awful lot of people. People are, when we tell our customers about it, they're like, right on, thank you, bring it on. And so what are the, maybe I should say one thing about what plans do you have for the first year of Heartland, menu and physical plant. We've had some adventures in physical plantism lately.
It's been an adventure.
We don't really have to go into them now, but
sure.
Some ideas.
All fixed.
I mean, some of the ideas. So one of the things we've already done is transitioned the food that's coming into the kitchen, much of it coming from Earth First Farms and other organic growers that I know. So that's something that has already occurred.
Begun.
And then bringing in Colin as a new executive chef, has started a transition in the kitchen. Shortly, we expect to roll out our new menu. The new menu will look, a lot like the current menu, but some, unique new stuff on there. Yeah, unique new stuff on there that Colin is developing from the food that we're growing.
Yeah.
In terms of physical plant, well, we're going to renovate the kitchen, and we're going to renovate and add a few stalls into the bathroom and make them much nicer and cleaner.
Bathrooms.
Yes. So those are two big things. I'm looking out at the porch that we've got. The porch will redo a little bit, and redo a few other things inside.
I'm still pushing for a fireplace out there enclosed in the winter.
Well,
and
keep
won't
pushing.
stop.
Keep
he won't
pushing,
stop.
Michael. So those are some of the big things. I think over the next year, some of the things that you'll see here, probably by next year we'll move to a more seasonal adjusted menu. So that the menu will adjust based on what's coming on and where we are in the season, root vegetables in the fall, and fruits in the middle of summer and things like that. But other than that, I think the big change really here is just to keep doing what we do so well. You mentioned it back in the 70s, trying to introduce people to food, and you just talked about planetary
sustainability, baby.
Planetary sustainability, baby.
What now?
So here we are 36 years later in partnership with an organic farm, which is all about planetary sustainability.
Amen.
So we'll keep doing what we do well, and fix what needs fixing, and keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to tell everybody that made us so prone to embracing Tom and him coming forth and wanting to be a part of the Heartland was that he really clearly had love and respect for a lot of things that we've done over the years. I mean, we've had our ups and downs in certain ways and challenges, but we brought good, wholesome food for mind and body, both mind and body, to the people long before a lot of other places did in this town. We were pioneers in that way, and Tom seemed to get it and have the wherewithal and ability to help it go forward. So I want to say on behalf of both Katie and myself that we are grateful that you are our partner, and we look forward to the next 36 years, and I sure hope that I last that long.
Me too, Michael.
Yeah, cool. Amen to that. I also appreciate that Tom offered me a job, even knowing that I would be taking time to work for the re-election of the president. I want to say it on the radio so you can't, say,
that would
get
be
back here
President
and host.
Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say that the first time we met, I was asked, "Are you a Republican or are you for Obama?" So I'm for Obama.
I don't think we put it. Are you
We
a
did.
Republican?
I did.
Well, no,
did.
because we didn't have Romney yet. Now
No.
it's, are you a Romney guy or are you Obama guy?
Well, it's going to be a tricky little campaign
But no,
season.
you guys have created a great family environment here, family for the staff, family for people who come in. The level of comfort here, we don't want to change any of that and just want to keep it going. And I thank you for accepting me as a partner and bringing me into the family.
Well, I want to say to everybody out there, keep coming back for more. We need your ongoing support and visits as much as we ever did. Now that the street's fixed and the L's fixed,
Yep.
and we've got a festival going on, let's start summer today at the Heartland.
Come on out.
And go for the next couple months of big visits.
And I
from
want to
y'all.
thank everybody who makes this show possible, from Paul Wozniak, Mary Wozniak, Angel Herrera, Eli Sloan, Lisa Smith, Laura Herman, Daniel Kugler, and Jay Cerati. And I want to say that we're going to have a great time up here this weekend, and Twin Peaks is going to kick it off at 2 o'clock right here at the Heartland stage. And we're going to go out with Twin Peaks. I think they're going to play the song Baby Blue. So do good in the world. We encourage you to do good in the world because the world needs all that you do. All the good that you do. How do you like that? Do good in the world because the world needs all the good that you do.
Yeah. And
All power to the people.
all power to the people.
Over and out.
Watch out for presidential debates hosted by the Heartland Cafe, just like 4 years ago.
Coming up. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a great weekend.
You're listening to 88.7 WLUW, Chicago Sound Alliance, broadcasting from the campus of Loyola University.
What's